Can I learn English with this sad story, or will it leave me with no memories of what I learned? That was the question I asked myself on the day I started to forget. At first, it was only small things. I forgot where I put my keys. I forgot the name of the woman who sold bread near my house. I forgot why I opened the fridge. Simple things. Normal things. The kind of things everyone forgets. So I laughed about it. I told myself I was just tired. I told myself I was working too much. I told myself that nothing serious was happening. But deep inside my heart, I knew something was wrong. Because one morning, I looked at my own face in the mirror, and for one terrible second, I did not know who I was. My name is Jack. I am 32 years old. I live in a quiet town near the sea. The town is small, but beautiful. Every morning, the air smells of salt and rain. The streets are narrow. The houses are old. And when the sun rises, the windows shine like gold. I used to love this town. I used to know every street, every shop, and every face. But now, everything feels like a picture from someone else's life. I still live here. I still walk these streets. But sometimes, I feel like a stranger inside my own memories. And the most painful part is this. I am not afraid of forgetting my house. I am not afraid of forgetting my job. I am not even afraid of forgetting my own name. I am afraid of forgetting her. Her name was Maya. She was my wife. And she was the best part of my life. Maya had soft brown eyes and a laugh that could change the feeling of a room. When she laughed, people turned around. Not because it was loud, but because it was warm. Her laugh made you feel safe. It made you feel that life was not so heavy after all. We met at a small bookshop on a rainy afternoon. I was standing near the poetry shelf, pretending to understand a book I had never heard of. Maya stood beside me and said, "You are holding that book upside down." I looked down. She was right. The book was upside down. My face became hot. I wanted to disappear. But she smiled. Not a cruel smile. A kind one. Then she said, "Don't worry. Some books are easier to understand that way." That was the first time I heard her voice. And somehow, from that small moment, my whole life changed. We started meeting every Saturday. First for coffee. Then for long walks. Then for dinner. Then for everything. Maya became the person I wanted to tell first. When something good happened, I called Maya. When something bad happened, I called Maya. When nothing happened at all, I still wanted to call Maya. She was not only my wife. She was my home. We were married for 6 years. 6 beautiful, ordinary years. We did not have a perfect life. No one does. We argued about small things. I always forgot to close the kitchen window. She always bought too many plants. I wanted quiet evenings. She liked music while cooking. But even our arguments had love inside them. At night, when we were too tired to speak, she would place her hand over mine. That simple touch said everything. It said, "I am here." It said, "We are okay." It said, even when life is hard, we still have each other. Then, one winter morning, everything changed. Maya became ill. At first, it was just a cough. Then she became tired. Then she became weak. Doctors used difficult words. Tests. Scans. Treatment. Hope. Risk. I heard all the words, but I only understood one thing. I could lose her. For 11 months, we fought the illness together. I cooked soup. I read books to her. I helped her walk when her legs were too weak. I sat beside her hospital bed and told her stories from our life. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she slept. Sometimes she looked at me with those soft brown eyes and said, "Jack, please remember enough for both of us." I always answered, "I will." I said it many times. I said it with confidence. I said it because I believed it. I thought memory was something strong. I thought memory was like a stone wall. I thought love could protect it. But I was wrong. Maya died on a cold evening in February. Outside the hospital window, snow was falling softly. Inside the room, everything was quiet. Too quiet. She held my hand until the end. Her fingers were cold, but I kept holding them. I did not cry at first. I could not. I just sat there, staring at her face, waiting for her to open her eyes again. Waiting for one more breath. One more word. One more smile. But nothing came. The nurse touched my shoulder and said something gentle. I do not remember the words. I only remember the feeling. It felt like the world had stopped moving, but somehow everyone else continued walking. After Maya died, people told me to be strong. They brought food. They sent messages. They said, "She would want you to live." Maybe they were right. But I did not want to live in a world where Maya was only a memory. For months, I stayed inside our house. I did not move her shoes from the door. I did not remove her coat from the chair. I did not wash her favorite cup. I kept everything exactly as it was. Because if I changed one thing, it felt like I was pushing her further away. Every morning, I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the empty chair across from me. I still made 2 cups of tea. One for me. One for her. Then I watched her tea grow cold. That became my life. 1 cup warm. 1 cup cold. 1 man still breathing. 1 woman gone. Then the forgetting started. At first, I thought grief was doing it. Pain can make the mind tired. Sadness can make days feel foggy. So I ignored it. But the forgetting became worse. One day, I went to the supermarket and forgot why I was there. I stood in the middle of the aisle, holding a basket, while people walked around me. A woman asked, "Are you okay?" I said yes. But I was not okay. Another day, I forgot my neighbor's name. He had lived beside me for 8 years. 8 years. He looked hurt when I called him sir. That night, I searched through old letters until I found his name. Arthur. His name was Arthur. I wrote it on a piece of paper and stuck it to the fridge. Arthur, neighbor. Then more notes appeared around my house. Keys, small bowl near the door. Doctor, Wednesday at 10. Pay electricity bill. Your name is Jack. Maya was your wife. When I wrote that last note, my hand shook. Maya was your wife. Was. Such a small word. Such a cruel word. I went to the doctor again. This time, the room felt colder. The doctor was kind, but his eyes were serious. He asked me questions. He showed me pictures. He gave me words to remember. Apple. Table. River. A few minutes later, he asked me to repeat them. I remembered apple. I remembered table. But the third word was gone. I searched my mind. I felt it hiding somewhere. But I could not reach it. The doctor looked down at his paper. I knew before he spoke. He said my condition was rare. He said it could get worse. He said there were treatments that might slow it down. But there was no promise. No cure. No magic door back to normal life. I listened quietly. Then I asked the only question that mattered. Will I forget my wife? The doctor did not answer quickly. That was my answer. He said, important memories can stay longer. Emotional memories often remain strong. Often. Not always. Strong. Not safe. I walked home in the rain. I did not open my umbrella. I wanted to feel something real on my skin. At home, I stood in front of Maya's photograph. It was our wedding photo. She was laughing because the wind had almost taken her veil. I was looking at her, not at the camera. Everyone said it was a beautiful photo. But for me, it was more than beautiful. It was proof. Proof that she had been real. Proof that I had loved her. Proof that once, I had been loved back. I touched the glass and whispered, I will not forget you. But for the first time, I was not sure I could keep that promise. After that day, I began to fight my own mind. I recorded voice notes. I wrote in notebooks. I labeled every photo in our house. Maya at the beach. Maya's birthday. Maya dancing in the kitchen. Maya angry because I burned dinner. Maya sleeping on the train. Maya holding my hand outside the hospital. Every memory became a small treasure I was trying to save from a fire. I made a box and called it the Maya box. Inside it, I placed her letters, her scarf, our wedding rings, cinema tickets, dried flowers, and a small blue notebook. The notebook was hers. She used to write little thoughts inside it. Most of them were simple. Buy milk. Call Mum. Water the plants. But some pages were different. Some pages were letters to me. I had never read them before. Maybe she wanted me to find them later. Maybe she knew I would need them. One night, when rain hit the windows and the house felt too empty, I opened the blue notebook. On the first page, she had written, "Jack forgets small things, but he remembers how to love. That is why I married him." I laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed again. That was Maya. Even from the past, she knew how to find me. I read more pages. Some were funny. Some were sad. Some were full of hope. Then I found one page near the end. The handwriting was weaker. The letters were not as neat. It was written during her illness. It said, "Jack, if one day my face becomes hard to remember, please do not punish yourself. Love is not only in the mind. Sometimes love stays in the hands, in the heart, in the way you make tea, in the way you look at the sea." I closed the notebook and pressed it against my chest. "How did you know?" I whispered. "How did you know I would need this?" After that, I carried the notebook everywhere. When I went to the shop, it was in my coat pocket. When I visited the doctor, it was in my hand. When I walked by the sea, I read her words again and again. I thought if I read them enough, they would become part of me forever. But the illness did not care how much I loved her. It kept taking things. Slowly. Quietly. Like a thief that came every night and stole one small piece of my life. One morning, I forgot the sound of Maya's laugh. I woke up and tried to hear it in my mind. I could remember that she laughed. I could remember that I loved her laugh. But the sound itself was gone. I sat up in bed, terrified. I searched old videos on my phone. My fingers moved too fast. Finally, I found one. Maya was in the kitchen, dancing badly to an old song. I had filmed her without telling her. In the video, she turned and shouted, "Jack! Stop recording me!" Then she laughed. There it was. Her laugh. Bright. Warm. Alive. I played it again. And again. And again. I played it until my phone battery died. Then I sat in the dark and cried like a child. Because I understood something terrible. A recording can keep a sound. A photo can keep a face. A notebook can keep words. But none of them can keep the feeling of being loved by someone who is no longer there. Days passed. Then weeks. Some days were good. Some days were frightening. On good days, I remembered everything clearly. I remembered the bookshop. I remembered our first kiss near the old bridge. I remembered how Maya said my name when she was tired. On bad days, the world became fog. I opened drawers and did not know why. I found clothes and did not know if they were mine. I looked at photos and felt love before I understood who was in them. That was the strange part. The love stayed longer than the facts. I could forget the date. I could forget the place. I could forget the story. But when I looked at Maya's face, my heart still hurt. And I thought, maybe the heart remembers in a language the mind cannot speak. One afternoon, Arthur, my neighbor, found me standing outside in my slippers. It was raining. I was looking at the road. "Jack," he said gently, "what are you doing?" I looked at him. I knew his face. But his name was missing again. "I'm waiting," I said. "For who?" I looked down the street. "For my wife. She is late." Arthur's face changed. Not with shock. With sadness. He took off his coat and put it around my shoulders. Then he said, "Come inside, my friend." My friend. He did not correct me. He did not say, "Your wife is dead." He just walked me home. Inside the house, he made tea. Only one cup. When I saw that, I became angry. "Where is Maya's tea?" I asked. Arthur looked at me quietly. Then he made a second cup. He placed it across from me. And we sat together while the tea grew cold. After that, Arthur visited every day. Sometimes he brought bread. Sometimes soup. Sometimes he simply sat with me. He helped me organize my notes. He wrote big labels on cupboards. He helped me record messages for myself. One message said, "Jack, you are safe. You are at home. Maya loved you. Arthur is your neighbor and your friend." I listened to that message many times. Sometimes it comforted me. Sometimes it broke me. Because hearing your own voice remind you of your own life is a very lonely thing. One day, Arthur said, "Jack, maybe you should record the story of Maya. Not just notes. The full story. From the beginning." I looked at him. "The full story?" "Yes," he said. "For yourself. For the days when memories are difficult." So I began. I sat at my kitchen table with a microphone in front of me. At first, I did not know what to say. Then I closed my eyes. And I started with the bookshop. "My name is Jack," I said. And I met Maya on a rainy afternoon. I recorded for hours. I told every story I could remember. The day we met. The first time I made her laugh. The way she cried during sad films. The song she loved. The soup she hated but pretended to like. The night she told me she was afraid to die. The last time she held my hand. Sometimes I had to stop because I was crying. Sometimes I had to check photos to remember details. Sometimes I forgot what I was saying in the middle of a sentence. But I continued. Because this was not only a recording. It was a bridge. A bridge from the man I was to the man I was becoming. When I finished, the recording was almost 5 hours long. Arthur helped me save it in many places. On my phone. On my computer. On a small memory card. He wrote on the memory card, "Jack and Maya, remember this." I kept it inside the Maya box. For a while, that made me feel safer. But illness is patient. It waits. It returns. And it takes more. One morning, I woke up and did not know the room. The curtains were blue. The walls were white. There was a photograph of a woman beside the bed. She was beautiful. I felt something when I saw her. A deep sadness. A deep warmth. But I did not know her name. I picked up the note beside the photo. It said, "This is Maya. She was your wife. You loved her more than anything." I read the words again. "This is Maya. She was your wife. You loved her." I waited for the memory to come. Nothing came. Only the feeling. Only the pain. I touched the photo and said, "I'm sorry." I did not know who I was apologizing to. Maybe to Maya. Maybe to myself. Maybe to the life I could no longer hold. That day, Arthur found me on the floor beside the bed. I was holding the photograph. He helped me sit up. I asked him, was she kind? Arthur's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," he said. "She was very kind." "Did she love me?" He nodded. "More than anyone." I looked at the photograph again. I wish I remembered. Arthur did not speak. He just held my hand. Later, he brought the Maya box. He opened it slowly and showed me each thing. The scarf. The letters. The tickets. The notebook. The rings. When he placed the wedding ring in my palm, something happened. Not a full memory. Not a clear picture. Just a flash. A white dress. Wind. Laughter. My hand holding hers. Then it was gone. But it was enough. I began to cry. I saw her, I whispered. Arthur smiled through his tears. Then she is still there. That evening, I listened to my recording. My own voice filled the room. "My name is Jack, and I met Maya on a rainy afternoon." I listened like I was hearing someone else's story. A sad story. A beautiful story. A story about two people who loved each other. Sometimes I smiled. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I paused the recording and looked at Maya's photo. I wanted to say, "I remember." But I could not. So I said something else. "I believe. I believe I loved you. I believe you loved me. I believe we were happy." Maybe belief is what remains when memory becomes weak. Maybe love does not always need a perfect mind. Maybe love can live inside trust. Winter came again. The sea became grey. The streets became quiet. The plants Maya had bought began to grow wild in the windows. I forgot to water them sometimes. Arthur watered them for me. He said Maya would be angry if we let them die. I laughed, although I did not know why it was funny. One night, I found the blue notebook open on the table. I did not remember opening it. A page was marked with a dried flower. The words were written in Maya's hand. I read them slowly. Jack, if this illness ever reaches you, and if one day you cannot find me in your mind, find me in kindness. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. That is where I will be. I stared at the page for a long time. Find me in kindness. The next morning, something changed. Not in my memory. That was still broken. But in my heart. I stopped trying to force every memory to return. I stopped hating myself for forgetting. I still used my notes. I still listened to the recordings. I still looked at photos. But I also began to live in small ways. I said good morning to Arthur. I fed the birds near the sea. I gave bread to the woman at the shop, although I could not remember her name. I sat by the water and watched the waves come and go. Some days, I remembered Maya. Some days, I only remembered that someone had loved me. And on the hardest days, even that was enough. Because love had changed me. Even when memory failed, the change remained. I was gentler because of Maya. I was braver because of Maya. I knew how to hold someone's hand in silence because of Maya. I knew that ordinary days were precious because of Maya. These things did not disappear. They lived in the way I moved through the world. They lived in the second cup of tea I still made sometimes. They lived in the flowers I tried to water. They lived in the kindness Arthur gave me, and the kindness I tried to give back. Then came the day of the storm. The sky was dark from morning. Rain hit the windows hard. The sea was loud. Arthur had gone to visit his daughter in another town. I was alone. That day, my mind was worse than usual. I could not remember if I had eaten. I could not remember the year. I could not remember why the house felt so sad. I walked from room to room, touching notes on the walls. Kitchen. Bedroom. Bathroom. Door. Jack. Maya. Love. The words looked familiar and strange at the same time. Then the lights went out. The house became dark. The storm shouted outside. For a moment, fear filled my body. I called Arthur's name, but he was not there. I searched for my phone, but I could not find it. Then I saw a small light near the shelf. A battery lamp. Beside it was the Maya box. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside, I found the memory card. Jack and Maya, remember this. I held it, but I did not know what to do with it. Then I saw the old recorder Arthur had left for me. A note was taped to it. Press green button. So I pressed it. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Then my voice came out of the small machine. My name is Jack, and I met Maya on a rainy afternoon. I sat on the floor in the dark. The storm continued outside. But inside the room, my own voice told me about love. It told me about a bookshop, a woman, a laugh, a wedding, a hospital, a promise, a goodbye. As I listened, pictures came and disappeared. Some were clear. Some were only shadows. But then, near the end of the recording, I heard something I had forgotten. It was not my voice. It was Maya's. I had recorded her once in the hospital. I had forgotten that part was there. Her voice was weak, but it was real. She said, "Jack, listen to me. If this is the last memory you have of me, let it be this. You are loved. You were loved every day. And love like that is never wasted." I stopped breathing. The room disappeared. The storm disappeared. For one moment, I was back beside her hospital bed. Her hand was in mine. Her eyes were tired but full of light. And I remembered. Not everything. Not our whole life. But I remembered her voice saying my name. Jack. Just my name. Softly. Lovingly. Like I was still her home. I pressed the recorder against my chest. "Maya," I whispered. And for the first time in a long time, her name did not feel like a word from a note. It felt alive. I cried quietly. Not because I had lost everything, but because something had returned. One small memory. One last gift. The next morning, Arthur found me asleep on the floor, holding the recorder. The storm had passed. Sunlight was coming through the window. He knelt beside me and asked, "Jack, are you okay?" I opened my eyes. For a moment, I did not know where I was. Then I looked at the recorder. I looked at the photograph on the shelf. I looked at Arthur. I said, "She called my name." Arthur smiled gently. "Yes," he said. "She did." I do not know how much time I have left before more memories disappear. Maybe one day, I will forget the bookshop completely. Maybe one day, I will forget the sound of the sea. Maybe one day, I will forget my own story. But I am not as afraid as I was before. Because now I understand something. Memories are important. They help us know who we are. They hold the faces we love. They keep the past close. But love is bigger than memory. Memory can fade. Photos can tear. Recordings can break. Names can disappear. But real love leaves marks deeper than the mind. It changes how we live. It changes how we speak. It changes how we care. And even when we cannot remember the reason, the love still remains in us. So if you are listening to this story to learn English, remember this too. You may forget some words. You may forget some sentences. You may forget a little of the story. That is okay. Learning is not only about remembering everything perfectly. Learning is about feeling, listening, repeating, and returning again. A story can teach your ears. A story can teach your heart. And sometimes, the words you learn through emotion stay with you longer. My name is Jack. I loved a woman named Maya. Some days, I remember her clearly. Some days, I only remember that I loved someone. And some days, I only feel a warmth in my chest when I see her picture. But I believe that warmth is also a memory. Maybe it is the last memory. Maybe it is the strongest one. And maybe, in the end, love is the only memory we truly need.